one, I think,
I go
from
here.
a practical perspective, we're
Pop out.
sending potentially, if this
In
passes, 2
theory,
million
right?
JTO to a multi-sig, and based on what the markets decide, we're sending it places. I think with a follow-up DAO
Launch
proposal, if it
that.
just seems like the
That goes
current parameters
there.
as they exist aren't working, and the
And
foundation has a
then
lot of incentive to make
let's
sure that they
do
are,
real quick
we can adjust those, pull
one of
some levers and push some
these, and
buttons
then we
to
go
make the
here.
markets, give us
Click this thing,
answers better and give team signal better
and then
pretty
let
easily.
me
I think
figure
likewise,
this out real quick.
transparency reports make a lot of
Oh
sense.
wow,
I
that's
think
awesome.
there's going to be a lot of people watching
We
this to
got a grant.
see, is Futarchy giving us better results, as in giving us teams that perform at a higher caliber than something like Arbiter or
Okay,
Stim.
now I need to
So
click this
you've
and
got something like
see if this is gonna
25
work.
days, I
Trigger,
think, to make some edits, and including
and
something in the
then
proposal about transparency reports might be a good idea. Thank you, Darren.
test,
No problem.
and then test. Just make sure those go through. Yes, they do. Very nice, very nice. And then we will clear that. We'll do this. We'll turn off our other podcast. Oh wait, it's already over, I think. Oh no, it's not. Futurarchy's cool. Go check that out. Okay, now we hit the start button, right? Let's see. In theory, okay, cool. I don't know if I have to. I don't know how you're supposed to market these things, but I'm just gonna start. I don't know, doing shit. Here in a little bit here. So if I put that, I can put these down here, I think. And then this, and then I don't think I actually need these up, except for this guy. So, where do we go from here? Yeah, I know they have like a little thing where you can like message the peoples. Oh yeah, maybe I should do that in the group that I made for this. Send via direct message to accidental. Yeah. And then I don't know, we'll just like send it there, I guess. And then if we have to send more, then we will, but we'll see. Okay, and then this has the eyeballs listed and the settings and stuff. Okay, so I might not actually need this window open either, which would be kind of cool. Let's double check. Oh, that's so cool. I have to tweet my friend getting a grant. Good job. Okay, and then if maybe I'll pull the space thing over here off that, and then this can die. And then this can maybe go over here, so that we have a main screen, probably, for the various rounding ups that we will do. Now, the question is, I think I do want to keep an eye on Restream, just so I have the stats available. And then also Twitch, so I guess I'm just reopening the same thing. Oh, we have more nights and weekends refugees. That's dope. Oh shoot, I forgot to hit record, but that's okay, because I can just have people watch it on whatever their preferred video platform is, so they can actually see stuff anyway, which is fine. Oh, did I lose the... No, I have it right here. Oh, what's up? How's it going, Nick? You are welcome to, I don't know, do I have to right-click people, or do you right-click people? I don't know. Here's an invitee thing, I think, if I can figure this out. Very smart boy I am. Space settings, right? And then, can I just do, like, everyone? That would be nice. If people can just, like, hop on. Okay, and that will do this, and then... This is. Oh, do they not have a thing where I can? Let me see if I can change this. Only people you invite to speak. Okay, and then I can change that. But like, how do I invite the people to speak? Okay. Well, now you're up here. What's up, buddy? How's it going?
Going good, bud. How you been?
Not too shabby. I'm just still wrapping my head around this speaker or this these space settings thing. I think I
Yeah.
just have to set it to everyone, and then people can just jump on when they want to.
Oh, cool.
Uh,
I've never played around with that too much.
yeah,
How
it's
would
a
it go?
wonderful platform. I'm glad he fired all his engineers because clearly he didn't need them. Absolutely. What's new in Auto GPT this week? You guys doing anything? You guys cooking anything?
Yeah, we're about to cut a release actually.
Sweet.
So that'll be fun. I don't remember what's in this one. Uh, I'm not the person who's making the release notes this time, but we've been making a ton of progress actually. We've got a whole front end and fun stuff now. Adding more blocks, having like sign-inable blocks. What's cool, I think, is what's coming up next though, which is we're adding like inbound hook support, so people can start like sending us messages. Like if you have a GitHub pull request updated, or a file changes in your Google Drive, go do stuff.
Oh, that's spicy. I like that.
Yeah, um, I think that'll be fun. And then from there, we can also do a little bit more stuff. Like I don't know if y'all played around with any of those hardware transcription stuff, like Compass or whatever. Um,
Uh, what do you mean when you say hardware transcription?
Like
like
friend?
yeah, friend. I
Okay,
have one called
gotcha.
Compass.
Hmm.
My friend Zach works on it. Um, he sent me one, and
Nice.
one of the things it does is webhooks, so we can like inbound webhooks with like transcriptions and stuff. And like one of the things I'm looking forward to is like
Oh
auto
yeah.
summarizing notes, doing
Hmm.
research, and inserting it in, and just sending it to an email after every meeting.
Yes, yeah, that's actually I use the one that I use is Omi, which is the one from Based Hardware, which is the I guess the wearable, but it also has like a general like messaging format. And the other thing that I'm working on right now is modding ScreenPipe, which is I mentioned them last week. They're like a just a context capture kind of utility, but they don't work
Uh-huh.
on Linux right now. So, and I also don't know Rust, and it's written in Rust. So that's been my adventure for the week. But I'm very much looking forward to having that kind of passive capture, and then being able to just dump that all somewhere, and then like throw a bunch of robots at it and see what happens. It's kind of the plan.
I've actually
Yeah.
been playing with ScreenPipe today. I should
Oh,
have
really?
downloaded. Yeah, it's on like I'm on Mac, so it
Hmm.
won't necessarily apply directly. But yeah, it's pretty cool. I was talking to the team on the Discord, and there seems to be a fair bit of potential there. It's very immature at the current time, but
Yeah.
the concept is great. So we'll see how it goes. I'll plug it together with Open Interpreter, try to do something cool.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly because I've wanted that thing for ages, but I never got around to building it. And then one of the guys who works on it, Lewis, I've like stumbled across him when I was we were figuring something out for like the open source GPT store thing. And he does really really good work. So I was stoked that he actually picked it up instead of me. But now I'm happy to go over there and hack on their thing. But I think it's gonna be. But yeah, I think like the live context is super fun to play with in terms of like I guess RPA in general, but also just like kicking off automations or AI agent stuff or whatever. I think there's like a lot of stuff you can do there, which should be pretty cool. That's pretty
Yeah,
interesting.
I definitely think that space is something that'll get a lot of advancement coming soon.
I hope
Um,
so. I'm sick of chatbots. I just want like agents to just go do stuff proactively. Like the reactive paradigm
yeah,
is trash. I hate it. What's up,
yeah.
Ray?
Yo, what's happening, man? I just learning about ScreenPipe right now. This is so
Oh
crazy.
shoot, nice. Yeah, let me pull that up on the screen thing. Yeah, I mentioned them last week. But yeah, I actually my quest to have a screen pipe started with me putting in an application to Rewind AI, which is the closed source version of this, and then they didn't respond to my application, so then I sent them another one and said, "Hey, if you don't let me work on your thing, I'm just going to reverse engineer it." By the way, which is a really good way to get a response. I did not get any, but then I
Wait, I
collect.
know one of the guys at Rewind.
Oh
I
yeah,
can hook you up with him. Yeah, the hardware guy. Yeah.
nice. Yeah, I was. This has been sort of like my general pet project. As soon as I sort of stumbled across, uh, uh, I don't know, just GPT in general. But yeah, I might like. I've of course now sort of created a um, a a slightly tongue-in-cheek vendetta with Rewind in that I'm sourcing all of the open source Rewind alternatives. But I would be interested to see, yeah, if they ever want to like, I don't know, if they need a pointer in some direction or a chat of some kind. Yeah, I'm gonna take you up on that. That could be kind of fun.
That's cool. So you're using ScreenPipe to get stuff from the screen and then kind of help you with like some of this open source hardware stuff.
Well, yeah. So ScreenPipe is it captures screen and then it captures transcriptions as well. The idea being, I don't really leave my computer, so if I just capture everything that my computer does, I basically have like a log and or data set of everything that I do all day, and then if I can feed that. ScreenPipe's default version is just like I feed that into an LLM and ask questions about it, and same with Rewind, where it was like, oh, well, you'll never forget anything, and I'm like, okay, well that's step one, but what if you go like 3 steps further than that, and you have like a giant like script writing agent that's watching what you're doing, and also your Obsidian Vault to find relevant notes to surface to you, and then also like deploy extra agents based on the notes that you're talking about, all crazy fucking Jarvis type
That's
shit.
cool.
That's
Yeah,
the
I've
thought.
seen a implementation of this where they take your screen and then actually use that for helping you with your transcriptions.
Hmm.
I think there's an app right now, like if you want to write an email or write a text or something, you just speak into it, and it uses all the context from your screen, and that's how it's able to get the right like names and stuff.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I feel like there's like a Mac app that's kind of like that of some kind, um, where it's got yeah, it's like an LLM chat thing. I think who was it? It was Jedi Cat. She was talking about a little like you can chat to the model and it'll also pull your screen, and it's like a little thing where you just like quickly do a keystroke and it pops up, which sounded
Yeah.
like pretty convenient. But yeah, that kind of vibe I think is a good avenue to explore. Um, I'm definitely keeping a close eye on ScreenPipe, and I like that they made it extensible. And kind of why I like the general open source like AI hardware thing is because they're all kind of interop. So like the idea being, I can take my little friend, which is or formerly friend now Omi because somebody happened to step in and buy their domain, but I won't get into that. But the so I can take my Omi, I can have the memories that it stores, I can get that format, then I can dump that over into my O1 server that's sitting on my desktop, which then my ScreenPipe can pull my context from, and so if you can since they're open source, I can figure out like janky ways to hack them all together and get the actual thing that I want, which is just me never having to like do or think about anything ever again. It's kind of the plan. But yeah, I guess beyond our local context capture and our AI automation stuff, my inquiry is anybody working on anything or releasing anything, or is anybody wanting an open source version of a thing but they're not sure if it exists, or just general, I don't know, open source news vibe, whatever stuff that I would put to our impromptu panel of sorts, I suppose.
So I actually put out a tweet today that I tagged you in Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
Just when I was recording the last episode of Tool Use, Ty was getting a demo, and big red warning popped up, being like, "Hey, you got a meeting." And it's one of those tools where it's so simple, and I have no issue supporting the creator. But as soon as you get something that connects to your calendar and has access to your window setup and tracking your mouse, I feel more comfortable if it's an open source project.
Yeah.
So pretty much just have my eye open for something that can alert me if I have a meeting in 1 minute, just so I don't, get too deep into flow and show up late. So if anyone's come across an open source version of that, but if you're not the type who cares about open source and you want to support it, there's a link to it on my profile because yeah, it's $7 Canadian, so probably like $5 US, and it'll just give you a little more professionalism so you never show up late.
Yeah, feel free to click the share to space thingy or whatever, if that exists. I know that didn't exist last week, so maybe I still haven't figured it out. But I did a little bit of looking around with regards to that, and then my general process is check alternative to, and then if there's nothing on alternative to, look for an awesome list. But the issue that I ran into was when I look for awesome notifications, that is the name of several different npm packages that all deal with notifications. So I would search for awesome notifications, and I would get a specific thing that is called awesome notifications rather than a list of awesome notification related things. That said, some of these do seem to be pretty good. So I found like awesome notifications for Flutter, and then a few different just sort of general notification-y stuff, but nothing jumped out at me as like a big red warning. Although I imagine like really that's just a UI component, and then track like system control or something, or just read your calendar. So I imagine it wouldn't be too terribly difficult to make that happen. Let's see. Yeah, I guess anybody else got something that's coming to mind? Because I have if not, I have 50 tabs open, and some of them might have interesting open source news in them. But I would need to go figure out which one that is. So we'll start bouncing around here and see if that's the case. Let's see. Okay. Well, that sounds like, unless either my spaces is bugging out, or nobody has anything that's jumping to mind immediately. One of the two. So let me grab some of my links here and see what the coolest one is. Is anybody familiar with Matrix? It's the open source communication platform thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah? Nice.
I spent a lot of time working with Matrix on a previous project. We were working on using it as a backend communication protocol. Didn't end up going anywhere, like lots of side projects, but it's pretty fun.
Yeah, they actually have an interesting update today, although I have to remember where I found that update specifically. I think maybe it's in their releases. Let me take a look and see if I can find it. But I think they had some kind of update today that caught my eye. When I will just share it. Oh, I still can't share it to the space. I don't know why this doesn't. I figured out some way to do it the other day. Let me see. Oh, I think I have to placeholder for space links. I know there's like some actual way you're supposed to do this, I'm sure. But I think it's just this. Oh, no, it still doesn't work. And then, what if I do that? No. Okay. Well, apparently I cannot put links on the space, so I will just like put it on the post that contains the space, and then people can perhaps review that later if they find it interesting. But the link's already there. But let me see if I can find. What if I have Matrix? Will this just? Oh yeah. Fully authenticated media. That's what it is. Which I would love if they gave me like an article or something about that. But with Matrix, when you're signing into it, you can either sign in like verified or unverified. And when you are signing in with your verified account, you have to include some sort of like YubiKey or biometric or whatever. But let me see if okay, so we have a blog post here. So my thought being, perhaps you can do the same kind of authentication for your account that you would for any given piece of media that you're posting on Matrix, to say like, I made this or I posted this, which sounds like a very useful thing to have considering our generative AI kind of world now, which seemed pretty cool to me. But I want to see if I can find a little bit more than that, if there is any. Let's see. Account locking, marking rooms as unread, and some QOL stuff. Let's see. Okay, so they have a little YouTube about, I guess, some issues came along with that. The verified media stuff. Because they added permissions, but obviously adding permissions kind of makes things a little bit more complex. So they're getting some false positives to start. But that seems relatively interesting in terms of random update. I ended up, actually, my week has mostly been all, like, there's a ton of, like, cool, like, AI training stuff, but it's all like the super nerdy, like, oh, here's a new like optimizer that's 30% better than Adam W or whatever, which basically is like meaningless to anybody that's trying to do anything like practical. So I wasn't sure whether or not to really include much of that, at least on this space thus far. But yeah, I don't know. I guess anybody got a thing that they're thinking about open source wise beyond our big red button inquiry?
One of the things I've been thinking about a lot recently is code generation with O1 and friends. I don't know if y'all played around with the online version of GPT Engineer, but so that's not open source. But I've just played around with it a lot and come to the conclusion it works good enough for a lot of the stuff I want to do. Basically every side project I've done with that now. Woodworking, for example, is a hobby of mine, and I was like, I'm going to build a site for this, and it was so much quicker than just doing it. Right? It's like, I'm a professional engineer, I can code websites, but not that quick. And it's crazy how far some of these things have come. But also how much they've deviated from their open source roots,
Is that I didn't actually know, because I use actually the web GPT engineer a lot too. Is it significantly different from the open source version these days?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Is they'll, from what I understand, they basically deviated. And I don't know how far, and they won't really talk about it in super depth, but I wouldn't either if I were them, to be blunt. But,
yeah, I kind of. The
you
thought.
can only keep so much of a moat.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm obviously a contrarian with moats, but I also don't have a commercial product that I'm actively selling right now, so I may just be entirely drawing baseless conclusions off of random thoughts. But I do think because I know the GPT engineer for web is useful for me just because it'll like ship me out a front end real quick if I need one.
Yep.
And it's a good like little starter, which is kind of the similar thing that I used GPT engineer for. It was sort of like a like create React app for whatever. So I assume it's like somewhere in the middle where GPT Engineer can attempt to scaffold the whole project, whereas the other one is like, here's a user-friendly interface, here's like a little bit of V0 in there, here's a little bit of variety with your front end and stuff like that. But I am a big fan of Anton's work in general for the most part, and I find this one pretty useful.
Yeah, I actually ended up publishing a website from it.
Nice.
I don't know if you'll do any 3D printing stuff, but I made there's a thing called Gridfinity, which is like a open source modular layout system for organizing stuff like pins, or like I use it for my tool chests. As mentioned earlier, I do a little bit of woodworking.
Right.
So I made a website super quick using it called gridfinitylayout.com, which was trivial. And like stuff like that, where I think that's where a lot of the empowerment from AI, should come from for most people, because like I didn't have to know anything about websites to make this. Just kind of did it. I was like, hey, do this, add this, and do all of the hard math. You know, because there's tons of little tools like that. And I've been using Claude for a lot of those, but once they hit multi-component, I feel like it breaks down pretty heavily.
The
Which is actually something y'all may know. Is there any open source version of that?
of which?
Claude's component builder, basically.
When you are you talking about the artifacts thing? Or,
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. There is actually. I will grab that. That was actually one of the other decent pieces of news this week. Open Web UI released artifacts, which is let me see. I think I maybe have a Twitter post about it that is somewhere around here. Let's do Open Web UI artifacts and see if I can pull it. But yes, Open Artifacts is this. Oh, okay. So somebody else also iterated on that, and then sure, let's grab this post here. So let's grab that, and then I can put this in the space so that maybe people can find it later. In theory, if my... Okay, so this goes there, and that goes there, and then there's that. But, yeah, this is actually something that I've been meaning to play with for a while. I'm just going to throw it on the screen on the stream thingy, too. But Open Web UI basically, I presume, started as kind of a... oh yeah, I could probably like link the stream too in case anybody wants to like see the thingies do this stuff. But so like open front end to make it easier to use like random other whatever, like mix and match and have the same front end of your preferred local model, and then presumably API models, and then now there's sort of at least kind of what I've been seeing, integrating like the primary features of the paid services. Oh, did I? Okay, why did this link that? Of the paid services. Okay, cool. And one of which this week, most recently, I think I saw it from Cocktail Peanut, who is the guy that does Pinocchio.computer, if anybody's heard of that one, about being able to do artifacts with A, local models, and B, like in your own runtime instead of sitting on Anthropic server somewhere, so you can kind of mess around with it a lot more than you previously could. So let me see. Original Game of Life app. Ask the AI to use smile emojis instead and watch what happens. Let's see here. But yeah, there is specifically exactly the thing you're asking for. So we have demonstrated value, ladies and gentlemen.
Beautiful.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got them. Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely want to play with this more. So if you end up installing it, then swing by next week and tell us how it went. Because I hopefully we'll have time to play with all the cool toys, but obviously I probably won't.
For sure.
But it seems like Quen's doing a decent job on Conways as far as I can see. Let's see, and then I found a random, single HTML file that is also like a Claude Artifacts. We'll toss a star over there too. But yes, build Wasm to bundle your JSX React code right in the browser, uses CDM to load all the NPM packages, and runs it in an iframe. Oh, that's goofy. I love that.
I'm implementing that in GPT tomorrow.
Yeah.
Get goofy. No, I'm kidding.
Bro, it's a single HTML file. Why not, right? Be like,
I don't want to... there's so many security implications.
Oh yeah, obviously it's a horrible idea, but
that's one of the things that's so weird about getting big is everything that you do gets scrutinized so much. We're up to like 160 something thousand stars at this point. And
damn.
Every
Congrats.
commit gets watched. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I feel like we drove half those people to sign up for GitHub too.
Nice, perfect. Well, I
Um,
think yeah, we kind of need to do that more. People gotta kind of get on board here, considering like you don't. I can write Rust code without knowing anything about Rust, et cetera, et cetera. If you're not on GitHub, you're kind of missing out at this point, I think.
yeah, exactly. But one of the craziest things, like of any development when you get that big, is just like, oh, cool. I can even commit this to dev, and I'm starting to get security advisories on it, which is just crazy. Um, People be wild, dude. I can't imagine what it's like to code on Linux.
Dude, I will never go back. I have been the Linux the resident Linux evangelist in a couple of group chats I've been in, and they're like, "Oh well, WSL's fine." No, it's not. Trust me, you have to go full Linux.
Yeah.
Presumably, if you have a Mac, then you can like afford to not have Linux and value your time and stuff. But if you're me, you have time and enough inclination to rice up your terminal that it's a good time. Let's see.
Love to hear it. Love to hear
I guess I just saw something in chat from somebody who linked super memory, which is sort of tangential to our original Scream Pipe basis. That appears to be open source, and then we have a homepage as well, which I presume might be. We have a free, we have an open source, and then we have okay, yeah. So we have another sort of reverse engineered okay, it's catching on. It's catching on. I like it. Um,
Hey,
so,
yikes!
mm,
I think they open sourced the stack also, and other apps have
ooh,
built on top of their stack. They're using Cloudflare. I forget what it's called, but they store their like vectors in Cloudflare, and it's like extremely cheap to use that service. So
really?
it. Ooh.
yeah, I forget what he said he was paying, but I think like his whole app he was paying like 5 or 10 a month for it, for like hosting like thousands of people.
Stack. Okay, let's see. We have an architecture here, and then managed by Turbo Repo. Okay, solid. We like that. Auth logic. Okay, built with Nextauth, Drizzle, Cloudflare D1 database, rate limiter, Tailwind, ShadCN. And then other amazing open source projects. We will happily collect those. And then hosted on Cloudflare pages, maybe? Is that kind of the hosting service? Let's see. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Cloudflare has. I know they have their AI workers now. I didn't know they had a vector store, but I wouldn't be entirely surprised considering they're doing if they're doing database infra anyway. I could have swore I clicked this, didn't I? But yeah, this is kind of the thing that I'm getting at, where it's like the it's interesting that they use the term second brain, because that's the principle, right? Where I have my sort of PKMs that'll cast an Obsidian second brain setup, because I don't want to use my dumb meat brain that forgets stuff. But the problem is, like, I don't want to have to think about capturing stuff for it, and I also don't want to have to like dig back through it when I want the thingy. So if I can automate that by just like watching my own context, then I'll be in pretty good shape. Build with D1. Let me see if they have like vectors or something in here. Vector? You guys want to tell me about that? Vectors. Vectorize API. Okay. Yeah. Nice. Okay, so built-in Vector DB on Cloudflare, and they also have AI workers. Could be useful if one is looking to rig up something real quick for cheap. We like this. Let's see. Ooh. And then we have another one here where Notion style, what you see is what you get editor with AI powered auto completion, which looks fun. I was discussing that a while ago. I wonder if I pulled it up in my links this week. But there's a couple of good like Notion alternatives. I guess since we're on the subject, do you guys use anything for PKM like Notion or Obsidian or Logseek?
Notional away.
Mm. I see.
I want to try Obsidian, but frankly, once you get committed to the bit,
Hmm.
it's really hard to stop committing to the same bit. You know.
Yeah. The and Notion, yeah, Notion does not make it particularly easy to export out of that ecosystem either, at least in my experience. But the other, yeah, I'm kind of like on board with that because if I like now that I have my Obsidian configured like just the way I like it, then I'll obviously I'll never go back. Although I have experimented out a little bit with some other utilities, but if I were to recommend something for somebody just getting started with it, it would be like, okay, grab like Mem or something that's kind of already got half of the automations that I've like hacked into my own, so you don't have to go through the learning curve. Um, but the but I do want to try out some of
Beautiful.
the other
Good to know.
ones. Yeah, there's a couple. An interesting one that came to. I don't think it's. Yeah, the commercial version that was interesting to me was Tana that uses Tana PKM. I wonder if that'll pull it up. Yeah, Tana is like a PKM utility that is kind of Notion-y, but it sort of relies on the like node edge paradigm. So it likes to like make a little all of your as though all of your Notion blocks were little nodes, and then they could have subnodes and be connected to other things, etc., etc. And then the connections between those things are also automated to some degree because they have a like an AI integration essentially, which seemed cool to me. But I was like, it's not open source. So is there an open source one version? Yes, there is, which is Tree Houses, which I definitely want to play with at some point. Let's see if I can pull that up a little bit. Fine, yeah, that's what it is from Alex in the comments. That's the big one. I think it's a fine, and then there's another one that is. I'm not remembering it, but yeah, there's like a fine, and then a. I think it's Shuyan. That's what it is. It's from a Chinese company of some kind, or uh, I maybe used over there. I don't know. It has a.
That is one thing I think people sleep on for sure. Is all the Chinese developments. I feel like people forget that there's developers all around the world.
Yeah, totally.
It's really easy for people to get caught in an SF bubble or whatever, and just totally miss out on the fact that there's tons of dev going on over there, with like video generation, for example, or whatever. I don't know. I feel like a lot of like Americans and Europeans are kind of missing that boat and like not seeing the like depth of generation of knowledge that they're doing.
Yeah, I kind of I don't know, that's kind of like why I like being a more or like I've considered that since I'm in so kind of very much into AI, I probably should go to SF, but I also kind of like not being in SF because then it's easier for me to just be on the internet and pay attention to what the internet weirdos are doing instead of I don't know, going to yacht parties with Peter Thiel or whatever it is the SF people do.
Yeah, you and me both. I'm down in Texas, just causing problems down here. But I gotta run, y'all. Be safe.
Yeah, thanks for coming by. I appreciate it, buddy. Let us know how that thing goes if you end up playing with it.
We'll do. We'll do.
Cheers. Yeah, I guess I'll throw his little project on screen for anybody who isn't familiar with Nick. He is one of the maintainers for AutoGPT, which was kind of the OG, like, what do you want? What is it? Would it? I don't know if I would put it in the category of self-improving, but I remember like AutoGPT, Baby AGI, and then like one more that was like the first kind of more like tool-oriented agenty kind of things before agents became such a hot topic. But speaking of Baby AGI, there actually is Yohei put out something interesting this week. Did anybody see Ditto, perhaps? I would assume the answer there is no. Either that or the thing is broken again. That also is a possibility. But let's grab that. Ditto is this guy, which I will pull up on the screen over here if my tabs don't explode. The simplest self-building coding agent, which has been, a fairly interesting topic as of late for a lot of folks. So Yohei does a lot of little. He's one of the guys from Untapped. If you're not familiar with him, he does a lot of like little hacky side projects, despite being a VC by trade, but also likes to do weird dev stuff at night. And is one of the guys that did, I guess the primary baby AGI person. But this lets you generate a multi-file Flask application from a simple natural language description, and then it just does a loop, and you just kind of give Ditto a directive, and it will attempt to build itself a little Flask application for you, which I think, let's see if I can pull that Twitter post, because I'm sure it's around here somewhere. Let's see. Has anybody been looking at the gosh, what would you call this? I guess there already kind of was a real-time voice API from DevDay that was open source, but it has since been iterated on a little bit. Did anybody catch that one, perchance? Let's see. Because if not, there is another one that I have the Hugging Face for, but I wanted to find. Remind me to keep the Twitter posts next time where I find these things. Because it would be good to see what other people are saying about it in the event that we don't have folks that want to say stuff about the thing. But yeah, we have Ichigo Llama 3S, which is Llama 3.1 with listening capabilities, which, if I just hit, which is in a Hugging Face space actually, so you can just go play with that right now if you want to, which I will put right here, which is in that thing which I unfortunately cannot share to the space or whatever. But Llama 3.1 with listening capabilities. So, hey, oh wait, is this gonna work? Is this gonna capture live, I wonder? Error, rip. Oh, there we go, microphone. Give it my microphone, and then maybe this will work, will it? I don't think it will, because I'm using it in spaces, so it probably won't, right? Let's see. If I hit record. Oh, it will, actually. Cool. So, we are going to test the, I guess you would call this pretty close to a real-time voice that is all open source with Llama 3.1. So we just stopped that clip, and then we send it, and now it's going to generate some text, in theory. Which this is...
Does it require a GPU to do in real time?
Yes, or rather, yeah. If you wanted to use the local models, which is kind of the point of using the local alternative, you would need to be running that local model somewhere. So you would either need a local GPU, or to host it on RunPod, or use it on Spaces, etc., etc. Let me see, is that input type, text, audio? Oh yeah, here, they have a little blog post about it. Let me pull that up and see if that'll work. Can you write oh, we have some examples here too, so I wonder if they will catch this. There we go. Don't have the capacity to do it okay, so let me see, let's look at the examples here, and then we send that. So that's a registration letter, and then we have like a code of Python script. And then, yeah, let me see what was interesting about this. Multimodal checkpoint with improved speech understanding. consistently performs across multiple speech understanding benchmarks. Inference, yeah. So I think this would probably be faster if it wasn't on 0, because you have to kind of get in line to do 0. But oh, they have a little Discord for Llama 3S. Oh, okay, that's what it is. So it's the similarity to the real-time voice API is OpenAI indicates, but I obviously I haven't seen the code, so it's difficult to be 100% sure. But they indicate that they are actually training on audio tokens for advanced voice mode. Whereas previously, if you were talking to an LLM, it was always going to transcribe and then feed text out, which introduces latency, and then also you kind of can't. I don't know if you've played with advanced voice mode very much, but you can kind of provide some additional information with like your inflection and tone and stuff, so you end up getting, at least in my experience, decent, slightly improved responses, except like it also is really bad at trying to time its responses, at least in my experience as well. But we have instruct-tuned Llama 3 on Encodex auto acoustic tokens. So we observed some transitivity between the text and audio tokens. We have some imminent limitations of like lack of generalization to non-synthetic voices. So that was their old version. Early fusion with semantic tokens, inspired by community feedback. And then okay, so yeah, so previously they were early fusion with just acoustic, so just the audio, and then they did semantic tokens, so they're trying to include audio and meaning. So pre-train on real speech, a solid breakdown of how they did this too. Mixture of synthetic data, synthetically generated speech data set, semantically encoded with Whisper VO from Whisper Speech. Interleaved to have 70% speech and then 30% transcription. Then instruct tune, and then some eval results, which is model bench 3.02, epoch 1, 2, 3. So 3 is the sweet spot, it sounds like. Let me see. Performant and is our current demo checkpoint. LibreSpeech clean. Judge 0.5. So it seems to be doing pretty decent on benchmarks. Looks like it overfits in about epoch 4, but there's a lot of like parameters you could play with too. But it's nice to have an interleaved audio and semantic and text multimodal, which is presumably the closest thing that we have in open source right now to the real-time, the advanced voice from ChatGPT, and then also it's just a building block, so this is kind of the basic, like, hey, we just threw this together and it works, so now we can just start iterating on that, and then hopefully we will have real-time, or advanced voice mode, I keep mixing up the two, advanced voice mode at home in the near future, which will be pretty cool. See if there's anything else in these cool tabs here. Let's see. Man, I wonder I wonder what the deviation from last... Oh, you know what? Last week, A, it was the first time, so people wanted to show up then. And then B, last week I actually made it to Kelly's space so I could advertise a little bit. So that's probably why I have less folks this afternoon. But I'm not terribly disappointed. Let's see. You been working on anything, Brad? What you up to?
Yeah, I'm updating my graph memory database.
I love
making
graphs.
like a little front end for it, and I'm making it so everything processes faster. And I'm gonna release like a new version of the open source library probably pretty soon.
Hell yeah. Which, remind me what the title of that is on GitHub? I'll throw it in the links.
It's It's grad AGI / graph memory.
Got it.
But I haven't updated in like a few months, so.
Well, hey, but the second there's no better time than now, right? I actually I had some interesting stuff. Yeah, I grabbed a couple more people into the graphs chat, as you probably caught, and I think I had something or another that was graph related that kicked that off, but I don't remember exactly what it was. But I don't think it's in my gigantic list of tabs, and I've got plenty to do. But go check that out because it'll be, especially after you finish your your current work. I'm sure it'll be pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw you added a bunch of people. I didn't keep up though with everything they said.
Oh
There's a
yeah,
whole
yeah.
bunch of stuff.
It was mostly just me going back and grabbing all the interesting looking links, pretty much. But I grabbed them out of the Entropics chat, so hopefully they will be uh, uh, as cracked as they are there as they are here. Let me see here. Got. Oh yeah, I found this, which is I got excited because I thought there were new evals, but this is like a closed source thing, and it's like, okay, you can ask our model, and then it'll give you an arbitrary score based on benchmarks we don't tell you about. So I got like less excited after that. Um,
Oh, you know what came
mm,
out that was cool?
mm.
You know, Agent Ops.
I do, yeah, yeah, yeah. The agent
That
stack or
was
whatever.
open sourced.
The agent stack thing, right?
Yeah, the Agent Stack thing. They just open sourced it like a day or two ago, or
Yeah, yeah.
yesterday, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got it. Let me drop a link off there. Yeah, this one is cool in that it's nice to have a. I've seen a couple of these a little bit, but it's nice to have a like create React app for agents, right? I think that's even the tagline they use. Um, but a lot of these built-ins are like quite solid, in my opinion, at least. What's that last one there? I know the I know we've got crew and autogen for multi-agent, light LLM for choosing your backend in terms of what model. But then I don't know what this last one is. Is that a LangChain icon? I think it is. I can't quite tell.
I'm
Um,
not sure.
yeah,
But after Light LLM,
yeah. This looks like a LangChain. I think. Let me see what did they change their LangChain? It's always been a parrot, so I don't know what they're. But that
yeah, I
looks
like the
like a
parrot.
language in chains. Yeah, yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure what the deal is. Let's see. Creating the project. What's included? Frameworks, swarms. Oh, OpenAI swarms. I see, I see. Interesting. Is that what they're using it? Got it. So we have memory, we have a agent framework, so tool use and multi-agent and core orchestration, stuff like that. Then we have memory with mem0. I kind of wish they had a few more options there. The main one that I'm thinking of, I'm actually wondering if this is even still live, because I know they did a commercial offering recently. Okay, it is. Cool. MemGPT is one of the OGs when it comes to like examining memory for agents. So I kind of wanted them to integrate that, but MemGPT has also kind of tried to do one of these sort of all-in-one platforms as well. Tool-wise is, I think these are solid. I have a self-hosted instance of Firecrawl that I like to use. I've heard good things about Anon. I tried the Multion extension for a while. I was not particularly impressed, but maybe the API is more useful. Um, the sandboxes are dope, and then obviously they're gonna put their own thing in. But my experience with Agent Ops in terms of observability things has been pretty solid. So, um, but this is a really nice little like stack to have together, so you can just like jam it in there and get going, which is really nice. I think between this and like the Vercel AI SDK, and then
It's nice to see what they were using,
yeah, yeah,
even if you don't use it.
yeah, definitely. I thought it was. It's definitely like a good. kind of inventory of market leaders. If you haven't, yeah, if you are interested in agents or like coding them or whatever, this is a good like read the readmes of all of these, and you will be in pretty good shape. It's an interesting or like a secondary benefit to this thing also being useful. I didn't have that starred. Rip. Um, let's see. When I was looking for stuff, I think Shotcut had a they had some kind of uh, uh, some kind of update. I think I forget where. Who was it? I think Shotcut is just a Okay, so the Tavali just pulled it because it was a random open source thing. No major updates there, I think. This is interesting. I don't know if anybody's used Proton before, but I think I have. Proton Drive. Oh, okay, yeah. Proton.me is the anon service, right? I have a proton.me email address. But we have I didn't know they had a drive, which is kind of dope. And then B, I'm interested. Oh. Oh, okay. Did they mean all of their things are now on GitHub? That would be dope as hell. If I go Proton Drive apps. Okay, so all of these are now OSS, and then what's Drive, including the Proton Drive desktop apps. Windows, Android, etc., etc. Hell yeah. So alternative to Google Drive that is actually good, hopefully. Let me see. And then and they've all got their own GitHub, so I think that is the last thing in the suite that needed to be open sourced, if I'm not mistaken, which is dope as hell. And we have... Okay, so maybe they're... Oh, yeah. They even have all their networking stuff for their VPN, OSS too. That would actually be a fun, like, rabbit hole to jump down one of these days. You're like, okay, how does a VPN actually work? Kind of lit. That is actually super dope. I'm glad I need to star this. Because Proton Drive might make for an excellent fit in terms of... Okay, I have a wearable, I have a screen pipe, I have all this recording, now where do I put it? I was going to just do sync thing, but if I can Proton Drive it, then that might even be better. Although, do they have a Linux version? Windows, macOS, iOS, Android. RIP. Presume maybe the macOS one will work, we'll see. Let's see. I'm not a huge UI guy, but I guess we have some Tailwind stuff. Components library for Tailwind with semantic classes. Tailwind, Daisy, and Preline. Cluttered HT. Okay, so you can use... Oh, excuse me. Semantic styling. Okay, so just readability for the most part, and then a bunch of like components lying around in case. Framework guides, HTML. You love to see it. Maybe throw.
Have you used Bolt at all?
Which one?
Bolt.new.
Oh yeah, I have not actually used that, but that's definitely something we should cover on the open source tooling thing. Yeah.
This one is amazing. Like, I think it's actually better than V0.
Well, yeah, because doesn't it do more? Like, isn't it closer to like a Replit agent than V0, or is it still just components?
It's basically just building the front end, and you can build the back end, but it can really only run the front end. But you can get like 80% of an app done, and then just move it to cursor and finish the back end. But the good thing about it is when it like applies changes, it tries to run it, and if there's an error, it tries to fix the error automatically, or it like rolls it back.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so you're never left with like broken code, but it's really 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 nice.
Yeah, I
It
think that's primarily what I've been using GPT Engineer for, is getting most of the front end all finished up. But yeah, the auto trigger on fix the error seems nice. And then I remember when they posted this, I was like, do I have to use the StackBlitz APIs that are sort of built in here, or can I rip them out and use, like, I don't know, a Wasm canister or something that I want to? Yeah, the web
I
containers
don't
and
think you
micro
need to
OS.
use it's open source. I think you can download it and use whatever.
Yeah, that's
Um,
what they were saying, as far as I can see. Because I was like, oh, this is all point. It's built because they mentioned like, um, um, yeah, the secret sauce is web containers. It's our micro OS. So I was like, oh god, did you like release an open source thing and then secretly platform lock me without telling me? Um, but
no, if you click the open, you can download the whole thing in a zip
hmm
file
yeah,
easily. So if you like open in StackBlitz and then click like download or something, then you have the whole repo, and you
yeah,
can go
yeah.
from there.
Complete control over the entire environment. Yeah, that's the handy thing, is having them be able to like npm install and stuff. Let's see. Free to get started. More AI tokens. Or until you upgrade your plan. So yeah, you probably just rip that out and then use, I don't know, whatever backend you want if you're running it locally. But yeah, I think that one is really cool. There's another. I think that sort of V0 territory is getting pretty interesting too, and at least like V0 was the thing, then there was Open V0, which is not as much of a thing anymore, and then I think the guy that was working on that moved over to something called Co-Founder, which is basically Bolt.new, and then now we have Bolt.new, and then we've always had GPT Engineer and Small Developer and all that stuff, so there's some of the code gen stuff is starting to get pretty cracked at this point, I think. Does this do Rust
Do
too? Oh, Remix, okay.
do you think how's GPT engineered compared to like something like this or V0?
So the GPT Engineer, the hosted version. Let's see. I haven't used V0 a ton, but as I recall, it does primarily like single component generation, or at least that was when I first looked at it and was like, I want something open source instead.
The
Uh,
When I tried it, it was doing single files if I recall
mhm.
correctly.
Yeah. So
Like
the GPT Engineer, their little hosted front end version, in addition to like Bolt.new, and then wasn't Nick talking about another one as well? But all of them do. They do your whole front end, so they will do more than just like a single file or a single component or whatever. They'll just do the whole thing. Um, GPT Engineer is probably closer to Bolt.new, but it will give you broken code, and you have to like kind of kick it a couple of times to get it to go back and fix it. So if Bolt is good at doing the loop and like detecting when there's actually an error and when there is not an error, but then like there's some like something's not throwing an error, but it's not displaying correctly, etc., etc. Then Bolt is probably good. But I have been fairly happy with GPT Engineer. I think I have a couple. I actually have them just sitting over there in the app. But generally, like I hate doing front end work, so I am a big fan of the just like make something like GPT Engineer do the thing for me. So if Bolt is similar to that in that I can avoid having to actually figure anything out on the front end, then I will be a happy boy.
yes, it is that, and I was like blown away because that's like a brand new thing within the past like few months.
Yeah, it's definitely got like way more popular after. Oh my gosh, my AMD card has exploded again. I love it. Yeah, that's actually gotten super, like a lot more more betterer, I guess, in the last couple of months. And then I think I need to dump the screen whenever that happens. Let me fix this. And then I do this. But yeah, I'm definitely kind of interested to see where they take it, because like these are pretty good right now. Like this, I don't know, maybe it's an hour's worth of work, and like this is all the front end I need to make something like a like spaces that actually functions, as long as I can do the back end, etc., etc. So I found them generally useful. So I'm gonna play with Bolt some more.
Bolt, the good thing about Bolt is it actually makes like good looking front ends. Like a lot of them can make a front end, but a lot of time it looks like shit.
Yeah.
But Bolt, I don't know how they got it to actually make like very good looking front ends, but it does do that.
Yeah, when I was looking at it, it was I think they probably just have like it has the tools it needs, because I know like GPT Engineer it can only use, or at least for a while, it could only use like vanilla React basically. So if you wanted to do anything spicier than like Tailwind, ShadCN, and React, then like GPT Engineer wasn't going to help you. But since Bolt has that thing where the 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 LLM can install the appropriate package to make the UI that it's building actually work, then presumably that would kind of be the unlock there, I would think, at least if I had to just randomly guess. Let me see. I don't know if this is new necessarily. I think it got some decent updates, but Rio is an interesting. If you're a Python person, and especially like if it's been mostly Python, kind of new to stuff, kind of playing around with AI, I think like things like Rio, and there's another one, but I'm not remembering what the name is, where you can just kind of get full stack like web app up and running with Python, can be kind of helpful. I don't know if they had, but yeah, you have like you can do like little Python components, and then just be able to just chuck it onto the web without having to resort to Streamlit. Not that I have anything against Streamlit, but we all know what those apps look like. So even if you try to fix it, then it's still very Streamlit-y, at least in my experience.
Have you heard of Klein or
That's
like Claude Engineer?
Claude Engineer I have used, yeah.
I think Klein's slightly different, but it's like an agent type thing. I was just wondering if you've tried it. So someone mentioned it recently.
How do you spell it? CLINE?
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, let's take a look. I have an autonomous coding agent right in my IDE. No, I have not. Oh, Claude Dev. Okay, I gotcha. I have heard of this. I think I've seen some people using it. I use a lot of stuff like this, but I think this mostly, if you're a cursor user, I think you're mostly handled, like I don't think you need one of these. But I certainly could be wrong. There was one that I liked, or that I at least thought was pretty interesting, was GPT Pilot, back when I was in VS Code, because what that would do is have you do like a really long kind of questionnaire where you would be like, okay, I want to use TypeScript and Vue, and I want to use these like extra packages, and you should use this connector for Supabase because Vue has one, and then this is my target audience, and this is how I plan to scale it, and you do this huge long interview thing, and then it would just it would attempt to follow all your rules, and then build the entire thing for you, which very rarely would it actually succeed in one shot, but it would give you a really good starting point, at least in my experience. So, but I do like the use any API and model. That's helpful. And I guess the so rather than I'm a NeoVim person, and the one that I use instead of Klein is Avante.nvim, and they are. I wonder actually if it's finished yet or not. Tool use. Yeah, Avante. I think there was a thing that. There was a thing that is. Oh, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, they are adding. Oh yeah, Cursor does that predictor thing, and they go, oh, you can only have the I'm gonna guess where you're gonna go next. If you want to pay us for the premium version, if you want more than like 20 or like X amount of uses of this per month. But Avante is building that in, and they are also building in the docs thing as well, which is the other reason to use Cursor, or that I liked from the Cursor. But this does look pretty good. Like analyze images, add context, pick your model, has the terminal. Seems good. If I were still in VS Code, I probably would try it out. I might still try it out at some point. Let's see. Well, it's getting about lunchtime for me, so I figure I will wrap up here for episode 2, and then hopefully do a little more marketing for the next one, and then probably at all the people whose stuff I linked. But yeah, I guess, is there any final thoughts from, I guess Brad is the only person left on stage.
No, I'm just impressed by these like front end builders. Like they seem to be getting like getting further and further every step of the way. So I expect like right now they can basically do a whole front end.
Yeah.
They can't do like the front end and back end, but I expect
Yep.
that to change like within the next month or so.
It's getting real close. From there, it'll just be wiring it up and deploying it. There is some interesting work being done in the deployment department, which I would love for them to open source it, but they haven't yet. But I hope they do soon. But I'm pretty sure you could teach an LLM to use Rails 8, and Rails 8 you can easily deploy. Like, it's a Rails deployment, so it's not going to be the most glorious thing in the world, but it'll work. So yeah,
Right.
I agree.
Right now on Bolt you can deploy just the front end, but it doesn't really. I don't think you can really build out the back end well with that. But I'm not sure.
I would presume you couldn't, for most of those little hosted services. But at least in terms of deployment, like I don't want an AI assisted deploy this to Vercel, right? Because like Vercel, I can do that myself and write like 4 lines. But I want an AI assisted. I don't want to look at AWS, but now I can deploy like a commercial application with auto scaling to the correct instances in the correct region, kind of utility. And if I had to pick an open source version to do that right now, it would be Rails, I think. Which you could totally, it's mostly CLI, so you could totally get an LLM to use it. So we're getting close.
Yep.
Indeed. Well, cool. I will wrap it up there then. Thank you for coming, friends. And yeah, we will see hopefully more people, but also hopefully you people back next week, and go through maybe like 20 more of these tabs, and also have 20 more by the time. There's never enough time. But we have to like eat and stuff, which is unfortunate, such as it is. But thank you for coming, friends. We'll catch you next time.
All right. Thanks, Yikes.
Cheers.